Alright, so this is going to be my first video, I guess, but I'm doing this over the recent creation I made. Decided to make a Reddit account for the future. So, what is this creation? This creation is rock, paper, scissors. It is programmed completely inside of the brick and uses no external connections, except the wire in if you're using that. You control with the buttons, everyone but the exit button, obviously. And the simplicity behind it is it pulls up a screen, it gives you a selection screen, you choose rock, paper, scissors, and then the AI goes through its own process to try to choose rock, paper, scissors as well. Now, that seems simple enough, but I decided I think it's pretty cool to add more to it. I always liked the idea of machine learning. However, in this case, you can't do it unless if you want to sit in front of the computer or your brick for about 3 hours pressing buttons that you think will win. And I know no one, at least no one I know of, would like to do that. So instead, I looked up how, I looked up how to win at rock, paper, scissors. And I pulled up a site which was called, wikihow.com, how to win at rock, paper, scissors. And it told me everything I needed to do from there. So let's go through my code bit by bit. So before I begin, I'll show you the variables and lists. Now, this is a overcomplicated version of what I should have. I could have simplified a lot of these down, so in total I could technically only have one of each of these, but what works. It doesn't take up too much space on the device. So I have AI win, which tells me if the AI won the last round. Before data, I can't recall, before data is essentially when you're choosing your choice, it will store what your option is in before data. Gender, self-explanatory. Mode, there's beginner and experience. POS, which is position. Show outcome decision is, well, you can see it partially down here, and that is another setting, which allows you to see the method that the AI used to try to beat you. And then winner/points, which is the selection screen in between showing the winner and the points. So, I also have AI decision, which is what was the AI's decision that current round. The storage, which contains every known instance. The AI method, which is down here, it shows the method the AI chose. Mental prediction was, if I'm not wrong, something else. One moment. Mental decision. Oh, no, mental prediction. And that tells you who won most, essentially. Yeah, that's really it for that. My decision is my decision. My decision storage is where all instances are stored. The stat list stands for statistics list, which contains what did the AI use to win most, or what did I use to win most, and then the wins, which is the total number of wins. So now let's go through my code. So I need to find where this all starts. It's my own fault. I should have ordered it in general. I'll try to fix that in the future, but what works. So, one moment. As you can tell, there's a lot of code. 640 blocks. Nope. Almost there. And it's, of course, at the bottom. Alright, so when it starts, it's going to clear the display so that instead of the loading bar on the EV3, it will just show a blank screen. Then it goes to startup. Now startup is up here, which essentially has you make the decisions in between what mode you want, what's your gender, etc. If I can just get up a bit more. Here it is, startup. So first it sets your volume to 100, then it waits a tiny bit and repeats this snap one, which kind of sounds like, what exactly can it relate to? I'm not sure, but here's the sound. So that's what sound it would make, repeated 8 times over the course of 0.8 seconds, then it does it one more time, and then does the EV3 sound. So it kind of sounds like a boot up. Then goes down here and writes rock, paper, scissors, the name of the game. It starts giving you options. Everything after this point in startup is the options. So first is your mode. Your mode is either beginner or experienced. If beginner, it'll set to -1. If experienced, it'll set to 1. And then it'll do the same thing with your gender. Choose gender, male or female. If you press left, male, right, female. And then finally, show outcome decision, which will show what method the AI chose to try to figure out what you get, which is yes or no. So next up, it goes into reset, which just resets everything. After that, it will go and do procedure, which is right here. Procedure does selection decision and data result play. Data collection result play. Selection decision is essentially the entire area of AI, the entire area where you make the choice of rock, paper, or scissors, which is up here. Hopefully. That is not good. Winner checker, good. That is another one. I'm sorry if this is so bland, I just want to get every bit in here. Down, down, down. Selection decision, where are you? Here it is. So it clears your display, it waits a second, and then resets your winner points and your before data to 0. It does a winner checker, and I will get to that later when it comes down to it. And then this is your decision, it resets it, and then it's going to keep checking until you confirm with the center button. Puts a line and then does rock, paper, scissors. And depending on what value you set it to, it will choose rock, paper, or scissors. And how it determines what position it goes to, it uses the up and down buttons. So it takes your data, your before data, and when you press up, it subtracts 1 from that amount. And then it'll make a check up here and say, hey, it was currently at 0, it cannot go any higher because I made this check here, so it will not do anything. But let's say it was currently set to 2 and I pressed up, it will subtract 1, go down to 1, and do this. Same thing for this, if it will go down 1 and it will not go over, essentially. If you're at 2, that's all it will do. If it goes at 1 and you press down, it will go down by 1. And it makes a click sound. And then it does winner display only, which just displays the previous win, but does not change anything else. And then left and right is something you're going to notice later on. Now this ends up showing what your points are. So, and it swaps in between who won and your current point situation. Left is your winner, who won last, and right is your points. Simple as that. And then once you do confirm with the middle button, it's going to replace your decision with your before data decision. It adds it to your storage, and that makes a little sound. After that, it's going to perform the AI check, which is up here. Nope, that is part of it. Most of these are part of it. They are methods. Here we are. So the first method that this thing went over was simply based off of the gender, which was method 1 playing a rookie, and method 1, oh wait, they're both called playing a rookie, but method 1 essentially is based off of who your opponent is, you can play certain things. So if you're playing against a male or a man, you will throw out, the AI will throw out a paper, because rock is statistically the most often thrown move against males. And then the same thing for females, except scissors is the least often. Yeah, most women tend to lead with scissors. So that's essentially what this does. It checks, first of all, that those values have been selected, and then it lists down the method, and then depending on the mode. The mode is something else add in. That was for something else. That was for method 2, playing experienced opponents. One of the methods it has is playing scissors or rock in the first round, as experienced players won't throw a rock for their first move, so you should lead with scissors. That way, you will beat their paper or tie if they also lead with scissors. Experienced players also think that beginners would most likely set down a rock, so they would obviously do paper, and scissors beats paper, so that would be a good move. And essentially that happens down here. If -1 is for beginner, and since it was not -1, it will go down here and randomly select paper, rock, or paper. And depending on your gender, left being male, -1 being male, it will do rock, it'll do paper, or rock. Just a heads up for the future, because I tend to overdo myself and say the same thing over and over. I'm sorry. The 0 is rock, 1 is paper, and 2 is scissors when it comes to these decision values. Then after this, no matter what happens, it's going to set them to -999, indicating that they have been used. And somehow, if they had been used, it will go ahead and go to twice in a row. And that will go to twice in a row. So twice in a row is simply one thing. It is here. It is look for your opponent using the same move twice in a row. And what that means is if your opponent, per se, did scissors twice in a row, you should counter that with rock on your third try, because 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to do the same move. Yeah. So, essentially that's all this is. It is a chance decision, though, because I did not want it to always be based off of, like, this one. Because 9 times out of 10, if you happen to do rock twice in a row, I also want to have more options. Not just this, you know? So, if it does say that 1 equals 1, then we'll say it's twice in a row. And then, depending on what the last decision was made, it will choose the counter. So if it was rock, it will do paper. If it was paper, it will do scissors. If it was scissors, it will do rock. And then if the chance ended up giving off a false, or a 0 in this case, it will go to if, lose, and switch. Or if this long thing of code, which essentially what this is first of all detecting, have you played more than twice? If so, and if your last two decisions were exactly the same, well, if the player's last two decisions were the same, then do all this. If not, it will go to if, lose, and switch. And I believe that's up here. Yeah, it should be it. No, that's statistics. This is if, lose, and switch. Now, just as the name says, it is the swapper, which switch moves if you lose. Simple as that. And this is what happens 99% of the time, if none of the other ones work. And this uses the AI win command. Well, variable, which takes in the last known win or lose and then checks. Now, AI win, if it equals 2, that means that it was a tie. If it means 1, it means that the AI won. And if it's a 0, it means it lost. And if it is a win, if the AI won, it will actually do this. Ooh, I may have forgotten something. Ooh. Okay, well that is something I didn't notice. I have not included an AI method. So AI method for this, 1 to 3 equals 2. There was one other method that I didn't really use much here, but it's this one here, which is one of the last ones before method, well, it is the last one before method 3. And that is go for paper to win by statistics. When you're at a loss of what to do, throw paper, because scissors is the least often thrown, and because rock is the most often thrown. So this is what it is. This is the paper one. Wait a minute. What? No, that's scissors. Pick 0 to 2, yeah, it picks random. So one of these should be random. Random choice. Right. Yeah, and then we can put that in here. And this should be changed to 1, which is paper, rock paper. And then we're going to title this statistics. Well, yes. Well, let's go with papers. Let's go with paper stat. Put a dot at the end. Alright. So this will have been the paper decision, and then essentially this is just the same thing. If you lost, then it will swap it over. Same thing. And I titled this method lost and swap. And if none of that works, literally none of that works, it will go into statistics. This uses the position from earlier. Well, from the variables section. And it first of all resets AI decisions, and then checks to see if, and it goes through the whole method, and the whole length of the decision storage of AI. And it's going to essentially calculate what is the most common choice that was made. And then 9 times out of 10, it will run this bottom section, and if not, it will do this, which is random choice. And this one is statistic choice, which essentially is It's checking over and over what is the most commonly used one, and then it's going to counter it. And if the last one doesn't work for some strange reason, let's say that every single one was equal, that will also do random choice. So once that happens, it's going to end up going back to selection decision. And once it goes back to selection decision, it's going to do the winner checker. The winner checker is just a simple output created by this. It's going to calculate who was the winner, assign points, and all that. So I just need to go up a bit. A bit more. If you're curious, the winner display only is exactly the same, except that doesn't change any values. This one does change values. So winner points equals 0. If you have selected winner, it will do this section. If you have point selection, it will do the bottom of this. And this is how I calculate for a tie. If yours and the AI's decision subtracted together give you a 0, then it's a tie, no one wins. And this section, yes? Alright, give me a couple minutes. Sorry. If your outcome is -1, which therefore means that you said yes to it, it'll just do this. And it sets your AI win to a tie. And it just keeps going through, it goes through every option. And then as for this is an error message, simply just if for some strange reason the value goes too high or too low and every other option did not work. And this would be the calculator here, and then it's going to write down who won. Right here, who won most, and then the player and the AI's total wins. And that's just about it. I'll go down and see if I missed anything, but besides that, I think that's it. Took me about 3 days to do this in total, along with maybe a bit of extra time here and there. This is the who won most thing, and if subtracted together, they give 0, it's nobody. However, if one is larger than the other, then it does that. I already went over this. Right, we did the reset, and the program starts. Alright, so thank you for listening to this. I'm sorry if the mic quality wasn't the best, or if I started a bit and it wasn't very clear. However, I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day.